Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to this Open Innovation Roundtable. This is part of our innovation engine here at Hello Tomorrow that we're kicking off today. And if you don't know much about us, we can start with a brief description of what we do and the activities that we have. So, as I mentioned, this is sort of the kickoff of our latest program, that is the Industrial Biotechnology Innovation Engine. It's part of the startup program that we're doing, this cohort of biotechnology innovation startups. And this is the corporate sharing hub that we have. It's corporates that are participating in this program and that are here to share with us more about open innovation and what is it that we need to know about best practices, how to tackle the challenges, and basically how to get to fruition this type of projects, both for on the startup side and or the corporate side. So again, about us, so it's Hello Tomorrow. We're a company that has been established in 2011. We're around 30 people now, with presence in 7 countries. We have been doing our flagship event for 10 years now. It's the Global Summit that you might know us from that. We also, 5 years ago, we started our consulting services. So what we do is we foster this innovation ecosystems and deep tech ecosystems to help create impact, to help connect startups and corporates in a meaningful way. We like to say that we bring like this lab to market approach, and we help basically develop all the scientific developments that are happening, and then they need maybe a little push, a little ecosystem help, and that's what we're trying to do with this initiatives, especially with the one that we're launching today with the Innovation Engine and Startup Program. So this a few numbers. So we have raised more than 500 million among the startups that have participated in the challenge. More than 30K people are attending our events annually. And we have identified more than 18,000 solutions among during our years that we have been active. Basically, so what we have for the innovation engine is this peer-to-peer sharing session. This is the first one that we're having. It's going to be live, so you can have a peek of what we're going to be discussing during the next meetings. We're going to have basically keynote speakers with guided workshops, and at the end we're going to have everyone's going to be participating in this global the biotechnology summit that we're going to have November 22nd and 23rd, where we're going to have the demo days of the startups that are participating in this cohort, and the corporates that are with us with this within this program. So without further ado, we can just present our panel today. So I'm going to mention each one of you. Maybe you can have like a quick intro on your side, and you can tell us about what is it that you do in your own company, and quickly, why did you decide to join this program? So maybe Fabien from L'Oréal, we can start with you.
Hi everyone, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. So hi everyone, my name is Fabien Deswarte. I work for L'Oréal's Research and Innovation, and my team is in particular responsible for coordinating our efforts with strategic external partners related to the development and sourcing of new ingredients for our formulas. So very pleased to be with you today, this afternoon. And clearly for us, being part of this initiative is key, because we see open innovation as being very, very important for us. And I guess we're going to talk about it a bit more over the next hour or so.
Great, thank you, Fabien. So now, Dara, he's a Senior Director in R&D for Coty. Dara, can you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Yeah, hello everybody. Very pleased to meet you. So I work for Coty. I've been with Coty for 5 years now. I started in Geneva as a fragrance upstream innovation director. I'm now leading in Paris the incubator and open innovation team. Very happy to be with you here. I truly believe that open innovation is a key driver for what we tend to do at Coty.
Thank you, Dara. So we have from Solvay, we have Thomas and Arnaud. Thomas, he's a VC investor and financial director. Thomas, can you please tell us a bit about
Hi.
what you
Thanks, Juan. So my name is Thomas Sayan. So my background is in engineering and material science, but I also come from 10 years of experience in finance with Solvay, among others. For the past 8 years, I was with Solvay Ventures, where I'm in charge of scouting in Europe, also investments. And I'm also dealing with some open innovation projects with Arnaud here. About Solvay Ventures. So Solvay Ventures it's the venture capital fund of Solvay. It's a corporate venture. It has 80 million euros under management, and we're investing mostly in Series A across various verticals, namely decarbonation, circular economy, electrification, and always with a strong angle in material science, and of course, a strong angle in sustainability. Thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you, Thomas. And last but not least, we have Arnaud, Open Innovation and Strategy Director at Solvay. Arnaud, can you please tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so many thanks, Juan. So I'm Arnaud Gabénisch. I joined Solvay in 2018. I went through a different position in the group in R&I strategy. I also work with Thomas within the Solvay venturing team. And more recently, I joined a new growth platform. So it means a future business or a business in incubation. We created around renewable materials and biotech. And the goal here is really to accelerate all what we are doing across the group in this area. And indeed, I'm leading the open innovation. I'm working with Thomas and all the venture team.
Thank you very much, Arnaud. So thank you all for being here. And on my side, I'm Juan Botero. I'm an innovation manager at Hello Tomorrow, and currently in charge of this innovation engine startup programs that we're launching here today. So let's start with this conversation. And the first question I want to ask, it's when we talk about open innovation, it's usually, of course, like corporates working with startups, and this is what comes to mind first. But we've seen that open innovation can involve many other things, many other stakeholders. We've seen that more and more, where we've seen companies that start to work with different stakeholders along the value chain. So not just, of course, startups, but also like suppliers, clients, and even competitors. So what do you think what type of value can this bring, going more than the startups and working with more stakeholders that initially maybe is not like the most evident solution idea, but at the long run we can see benefits? What would be the value? Maybe Fabien, we can start with you.
In terms of value for us, I mean, consumer, as you know, are constantly asking for extra or new performance. Sustainability is a must, and a number of organizations are now setting themselves very, very ambitious targets. Regulation also is becoming more and more stringent. So new products or existing product or ingredient will have to be removed from the market. And at the same time, technologies are advancing very, very quickly, including biotech, which is the topic, or industrial biotech and synthetic biology, which is a topic of this initiative. And so clearly, for all these reasons, it's important to partner with external players. On our side, you mentioned suppliers, where a number of ingredient comes from our suppliers, including Solvay, who is with us today, and are massively investing in biotech, as Arnaud mentioned. So it's something at L'Oréal we actively looking to do. We're working even more closely with our existing suppliers. Startups, obviously, you mentioned it. This is something we want to do more and more, and also we're very open to working with with competitors. So you might have seen in the news that we recently joined a joint venture led by a US biotech company called Geno, on involving two of our competitors, Unilever and KO.
Thank you, Fabien. Yeah, and indeed, about the projects that you have been working with Solvay. Maybe you guys can tell us a bit more about that tomorrow, Arnaud, about how to work with
Yeah,
clients.
maybe a few words, and Thomas, you will come just after with your comments. But indeed, technologies are advancing very, very fast, and typically biotech is a very good example of that. That's creating new ecosystems, new value chains, new ways of doing things. And so the risk of not doing things in biotech is huge, and it's also a lot of new opportunities. And so we really have to jump in this area, and that's exactly why we invested a lot in open innovation. We acquired a lab also in Boston. And that's about scouting, obviously, but it's more than that. It's really be part of ecosystems and new value chain. It's about choosing a path that would have been unthinkable, I would say, if you hadn't met with a company or with a founder, and it happens. It's also for us a way to de-risk options, to investigate new options, and to position ourselves on new technologies and to secure them, by the way. And that's why open innovation is one of the fundamentals, I would say, of Solvay, to develop tomorrow's processes and new products. And what is also very important for us is to invest in platform technology, because that's very important for us to have some things that could serve different purposes, several markets. So at the end, something that has even more chances to succeed. That's also a key word for us, and we are always investigating the potential of a technology to become something bigger and to be really a platform for the group. Thomas?
Yeah, so fully aligned with Fabien and Arnaud. Everybody wants to do open innovation. Investing in open innovation, to me, it's also investing in people who knows how to do open innovation, right? So it's not a given, it's not easy. And so for me, it's also it should also be considered as a toolbox, like giving the keys to people to basically finding the sweet spot to make everybody happy. So it's also it brings you also like open-mindedness, flexibility. You have to make people understand that you have to be open to all the different forms of collaboration. So yeah, to me, it's also the role of open innovation is also it's collaborating in a good way, in a proper way, in a way that makes everybody winning.
Thank you, Arnaud. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a way to involve many people towards the same goal. So, and Dara, what do you think about this? What brought Coty to invest in open innovations initiatives?
So actually, open innovation at Coty is quite at an early stage process. So we are very young, let's say, department, but we have implemented open innovation for three main reasons. The first one is resource limitation. We do believe that we are complementing and we're also augmenting our internal R&D capabilities. When you ask R&D people what is open innovation, if you ask what open innovation is in the company, they will tell you that open innovation, they already do open innovation. Everyone will tell you that they do open innovation because this is about external collaboration, right, and alliance management. So, and I truly believe that, implementing a structure in a proper way with a frame that, could accelerate this alliance management. And when you think about it, most of the startups are much more funded than any R&D. I don't know what's the investment at L'Oréal or Solvay in terms of R&D, but it's at Coty, it's 2-3% those are public data, and I believe at L'Oréal it's 3 or 4% too. And the second reason is knowledge flow. I mean, there are thousands of people, in the world who know about our business, and we want them in our team, right? So, and I'm quoting here a previous P&G executive. And the third reason is that we want to implement new ways of working, new ways of thinking. This is I'm joining here my peers. This is about extending and amplifying, into new directions.
Thank you, Dara. Yeah, for sure. When we talk about open innovation, it's definitely about opening new horizons and to new ways of thinking, as you mentioned. But sometimes in a company, innovating a company, they already have like very structured process. Not everyone is super aligned with this new ways of thinking. Can you tell us maybe a little bit about those challenges that you have encountered, like when facing more internal business units, external stakeholders, to convince and to change a bit the culture into this new ways of thinking?
Juan, you want to start? Or?
Yeah, maybe, yeah, we could start with Dara, then mention.
Okay, Dara, okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you, Juan, for the question. So on our side, what I would say is it's very difficult, of course, to get stakeholders on board. You will often hear, we don't have the same priorities. I'm busy with business critical project. We don't have a time. We did it already. Those are things that we're going to hear from your key stakeholders and also from R&D itself. And when you do open innovation, you have to manage your frustration. This is very important because most of the initiatives, or at least this is what I've been facing, and I don't know what about my peers, most of the initiatives will fail. So resilience is very key because we know that out of 100 projects, 1 or 2 will go to the next steps, and maybe 1 will be marketed. So this is, the challenge that we're facing. But on our side, what we have implemented, it's a clear governance and a light process because we do not want to add additional processes to process that already exist. We have this process where clear decision making is made. We have aligned our internal needs and consequently our priorities. This is how we have been doing the challenge so far.
Thanks, Dara. Fabien, what are your inputs about this?
We're facing the same challenges as Dara, of course. What I would say, having worked in the startup world before joining L'Oréal, is that obviously when you work in a startup, the team is relatively small size. You tend to meet each other every day and have coffee, and it's easy to discussing. When you're in a large organization, where you have different departments, often they're not based in the same place, if not the same country. So to me, they're a bit like large corporates can be compared to a series of gears that are interconnected. And if not everybody is in line, either the gear system won't move, won't rotate, or it will rotate very, very slowly, which is for a startup, the worst case, because time is a very precious, is a particularly precious commodity. So like Dara, what we've done is we've put processes in place to make sure that all our internal stakeholders are involved and they are committed to the project. Because if we don't do this from the start and start a project, or especially long-term projects, with external partners, including startups, we might waste everybody's time. So again, you need to keep it light, as Dara mentioned. It's important to have these processes in place from day one to have all the internal stakeholders aligned and committed.
Thank you, Fabien, for sure. And it's a complex situation because you already bringing external partners, and then you need to align your internal stakeholders. And how do you think, Thomas, that it's a good way to align both this internal and external needs and people that are be working together to have a cohesive approach?
So to me, in my experience, it's really about finding, when you say it's music to my ears, it's like finding the right person who will listen to the startup as if it were music, And so to me, the moment I know it's getting somewhere and that I know all stakeholders are going to be aligned, it's when, like, for instance, you have to understand the cultural aspect, right? So some corporates, it's all about like finding new ways to make money. Some others, it's finding, I don't know, the digitization. And for Solvay, I know it's being customer-centric. It's a very customer-centered organization. And when I see the discussion shifting to not the value that the startup can propose to Solvay, it's what's the value we bring to the customers of Solvay. And then it's all ears. Like, people are really, really interested. And then there is no really need for at least for us, for a strong and robust process. As long as you get people interested, things get moving. That's my view on how to align really the stakeholder. You have to find the right persons.
Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, it's a really good input, but definitely finding like this internal like champion that will root for the startup internally. It's key. I don't know. Maybe do you have like a specific example of initiative? Do you have carry out internally that have worked well with a startup or with a project regarding open innovation?
Yeah, I have one, but maybe just to complement to Thomas what you said, Thomas. To me, that's obviously very difficult. We are working corporates, and the key element for me is to have the right channels with our business units and to find the right people to support the case, because at the end they have the customer intimacy, they know the customer needs, and so if you want to set clear goals and to be clear on what we want to achieve with the startup, and also to have the right investment tool, we really need to start from the customer needs. That's absolutely mandatory. And if we are not doing that, we are not able to have set technical, I would say, technico-economic goals and to have the right target in terms of carbon footprint improvement or whatever the case, but we are not able to do it. So we have to correlate each case, each investment, whatever the investment is, to the customer need. It's not, the question is not to bring something typically for Solvay, is to bring something for our customer. It's really the mindset. And sometimes we lose that, but we do not have to lose that. It's absolutely mandatory to start with that and continuously during the process, whatever the process is, really to keep that as a cornerstone, the backbone, I would say, of the discussion we have. The other thing is that what is not so easy with the business sometimes is that we are not bringing a solution for the year after. It will come after. It's potentially an option in 3, 4, 5 or more years, and that's also something to explain. And I would say that we also have to explain things with a lot of pedagogy on this side. To answer to your question about the key success, we did two interesting things this year within Solvay. The first one I can mention is a partnership with Ginkgo Bioworks. So everyone in the planet knows about Ginkgo, obviously. That's a multi-year collaboration, and we wanted to obviously to test how was working Ginkgo and also to boost our own research. And here we joined forces to create a new specialty biopolymer that could serve potentially different markets from home, personal care, and agriculture. And in parallel of that, because the discussion was I would say good, we also acquired a small lab, a small first biotech lab in Boston. Why Boston? Because that's the biotech hub, the first one in the world. And why is this acquisition? Because the rationale of it was really to establish a growth base, I would say, in synthetic biology. It's very difficult to work with external players on the field if you are not skilled on your own, if you do not have some capabilities to understand their language, to discuss really deeply about their technologies, and also to know what you can bring, because that's also another dimension. And so we were very clear on what we could bring on the Solvay side.
Okay, thank you, Arnaud. That's a really good example, and yeah, I think working with Ginkgo Bioworks is it's what everyone would be looking for now. So it sounds like a really good partnership. Fabien, maybe can you tell us a bit about maybe an example that you have a good success example that you have done recently, and what were the elements you think that made this partnership successful?
In the public domain, what I could say is that I mentioned the investment we made in a joint venture led by Genomatica in the US in the area of biotech. We also recently announced that we're investing in Debut Biotech, which is it's a US company again that specializes in cell-free technologies, that can be combined with wholesale biotech too. In terms of what made it successful, again, it's about bringing, internally being, wholly aligned between all the internal stakeholders and making sure that the technologies that the partner is bringing to the table is truly of interest. They can have and can be valuable. And I fully agree with Thomas and Arnaud's comment, to our consumers. And again, when we commit to partnerships, it needs to be a win-win. So we need to be able to guesstimate the size of the price, what success would look like for us, but also for the partner in terms of volumes of ingredient being sold or so on.
Thank you, Fabien. And so, when you were mentioning that from many initiatives, just a few would work, can you share with us a bit, like, what were the elements of some initiatives, of some projects that didn't work, and why?
That didn't work. I'd rather talk about the things that work. Actually. But
we can start there. Maybe
my piece of advice, to make it work, is that in order to be relevant and impactful when you do open innovation and when you have OI capabilities, you must stay very connected with the teams close to the business. There is this exploitation phase and exploration phase. By design, open innovation is in the exploration phase. And most of the time, your key stakeholders, they are doing exploitation, right? So my piece of advice here is to make sure that you have a seat at the table, that you are fully aware and know very well what are their key priorities in terms of business. It's very important. Or if you do not have a seat at the table, get the data. We are a public company, so data are widely accessible. And the example that I wanted to share with you is the carbon capture ethanol project that was enabled by open innovation. 4 or 5 years ago, we partnered with LanzaTech, a non-beauty company, to transform CO2 emissions into ethanol. Ethanol is the ingredient that we use the most at Coty, being a fragrance-driven company. And what we managed to do is we managed to pitch actually the project to our CEO, Sunabi. We got very high traction at that time, and this is how we got the funding to progress to the next steps. So this shows that if you have a right value proposition, and at the end of the day, it's about having the right value proposition, pushed by a leadership team, presented at the right moment. As you all know, sustainability is hot. So everything that is going to bring value to sustainability initiatives, activities, it's going to become big and a real breakthrough for your company.
Thank you, Dara. Yes, so I just want to take a quick break and remind everyone that we have a chat on the bottom right of your screen. You can ask questions at any time, and we'll make sure to cover them during this session. And yeah, so I wanted to talk into this, what should not work, and you don't have to give a specific example, but we have different, since it's our complex projects, and at the beginning, as we mentioned, you need to convince people internally. Then you have to actually work with the startup, and then once probably you worked with a POC, for instance, and once the POC is done, you need to find out what is it that we're gonna do next. Maybe it was a very successful POC, but now we need to really, work together and on we'll say like real project, real life. What elements have you found that are useful to help this transition between a proof of concept that has been developed and to make it like a more sustainable in time project? Maybe Arnaud, we can start with you.
Just I wanted to rebound on the precedent question.
Yes, yeah.
Because what is it about? Is it open innovation is not an easy job, for sure, and we are also facing the fear of failing. So the startup is facing with this risk, and the corporate also. But I would say that it's also okay to end up with a deadlock sometimes during a negotiation. So it can happen. It's not 100%. I would say sure, and also during a project. It can also happen. And that's exactly the reason why, since the start of the initiation of the project, you have to start from clear goals. And sometimes it's possible also to plug the plug, so to pull the plug, sorry. And that's not a failure if it's managed correctly. It's if it's done at the right time. It also for the startup, it's also about saving time, refocusing on other areas. Is maybe recollaborating in the next future with the corporate, with maybe something that has mature with the time, etc. So obviously it's not what we want to have, but sometimes we also have to consider that kind of things. Thomas, if you want to jump on that, but.
No, clearly, I think it's an important point. We all talk about open innovation, assuming that it will be a success, right? Sometimes it doesn't. And it shouldn't be seen as a failure. Arnaud, you are totally right. It shouldn't be seen as a failure. Like, for instance, last year we had, so I won't disclose the name, but we had interactions with a Spanish startup. And those guys, they had this risk assessment process where for each and every new customer, they would go through a whole risk management process. And for us, so in about like 2 weeks, they told us your project is too risky. We're not going to take it. And so it's a bit counterintuitive because we ended up not working together. But I can assure you, in the team, everybody was saying like, "Whoa, that's great. We could have been working on that for 6 months. We could have spent 500,000 euros, and we did not. And we were able to reallocate our resources and our attention to something else. And now the image, or the, let's say, the feeling, the image we have toward this startup, if they ever come back to us and we have a project that they accept, then we are sure that it's getting serious." That's an illustration. That was for me one of the best thing I've seen in open innovation, and it was not a case where we actually came to terms.
And we have plenty of other ideas with them.
Yeah, I fully agree with Arnaud and so on. I think research is not a linear thing. You invest, then you get a product at the end. There are many risks. And I think, as often here, I think the main thing is, if you fail, try to fail fast. And I think that's why you need to be transparent with your partner about the risk, having regular meetings to review on the situation. And often you have to pivot and realize, okay, this is not working. I need to change path or need to change tack, and that's okay. And in some cases, you realize, well, actually, this is not going to work, and both parties then, if you manage that properly, then both parties usually leave the room not happy, but in agreement that is the best thing to do.
Thank you, Fabien. Yeah, for sure. And Dara, do you have any further comments on how to manage failures with startups?
So we haven't been to that stage yet with some startups, because as I mentioned, we are at a very early stage process. But what I know is you're right. If we have to fail, you need to fail fast. But at Coty, what we have as a culture is if we see the value of a technology, a service, or a product, we'd ask ourselves the question: what needs to happen to make it happen?
Okay, and regarding the what you're mentioning about failure and failing fast and trying to reframe failure as a type of success, how do you really frame this in a way? Like how would you measure success? What are the metrics to quickly find out, okay, maybe this is not the way we're going? How do you measure this project stuff? Because sometimes like the metrics on this projects are hard to find and to define from the beginning. So how are you doing like to know what would be the exact point, like to call it quits and start with another project?
If it's about a co-development, typically, I'm not a scientist, but so I will at first I will work with the R&D teams, and the key element would be again to set clear goals and to milestone the project. We mentioned biotech, obviously. Biotech, that's a matter of title, matter of cost, etc. It's a matter of process, better LCA or lower carbon footprint, etc. And so all that kind of elements can be, I would say, fixed, or you can give some objectives or orders of magnitude, knowing that, okay, if I'm not in this order of magnitude, I don't know, in terms of efficiency or LCA or whatever the goal is, you can indeed measure, I would say, the success and the progression of the project and take the appropriate decisions. So I would say if it's a co-development, all is relying in your capacity to agree with the startup on the target. It can be also obtained at the end of something, a project, when if you collaborate with a startup which is very early stage, the success could be to sample a product, typically, that kind of things. X, I don't know, grams of something. So you can set that kind of objectives, and doing it with according to milestones, paving the way to progress during 2 years collaborations, for instance.
Thanks, Arnaud. Thomas, anything to add?
So first, I specifically mentioned that it has not, it shouldn't be seen as failure, and we keep mentioning the word failure. So
right, yeah.
Stopping a collaboration, it's not a failure as long as it's done properly. Okay. Mm-hmm. And on open innovation, on the indicators or KPIs to measure success, it's tough. Like maybe I come from the VC, so with the VC lens, it's pretty easy. You have metrics, financial metrics. On the open innovation side, it's really a case-by-case basis. And I would say, like, if you take a step back, for me, the best success you can have is when you put a product on the market and you sell it a huge quantity at a great price point. That's for me would be the let's say the golden nugget that everybody's after. But yeah, that's like fine, still financial KPI, but that might not be the opinion of everyone here.
Thanks, Thomas. What about you, Fabien?
I would agree. I mean, we talked about consumers earlier on being, consumer-centric. At the end of the day, what we want is, and I think what the startups want too, is having products on the market that respond to our consumer needs. So that would be obviously a key KPI, and also, towards sustainability, any benefits in terms of environmental impact, obviously, will be something that we looked very, very closely. I think what we try to do is when we work with startups, is to identify whether there are any potential quick wins. Because often when you worked on quite around low TRL technologies, it will be quite long term. And I think again, being a corporate, often you hear, well, that's great, we've got that partnership, we know it's long term, but then a year later, it's okay. Where are you? Have you done? Are we going to launch soon? So you need to have. I guess I'm assuming my colleagues will face the same issues. It's good to try to identify some quick wins and then some opportunities that are longer term but might be more impactful. That's what I would say.
Thanks, Fabien. Yeah, for sure. And maybe Dara, we can close with you. Like, what metrics do you have in place, like to make sure it's not it's a success? What type of success?
I agree with my peers, and actually, so the beauty industry is quite framed, from a regulatory standpoint and also from a safety standpoint. So basically, what we would be looking at is obviously a superior product. So in terms of performance, so superior technology at an affordable cost that is safe and authorized by the countries. Those are the KPIs that we have in place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you, guys. I think it's been so very, very interesting so far. We can jump into a couple of questions that we have been receiving on the chat. So we have from Jorge. When dealing and working with open innovation initiatives on long term, so I guess specifically like deep tech startups and technologies that are very early stage and would take a long time to develop. How do you justify this budgets or KPI? And how do you have approval inside the young companies for this type of projects? We can go with Fabien.
It's about how disruptive it is. I mean, if you want to invest in for very low TRL technologies, I think you would need. There's so many startups, so many technologies being deployed every day, every year. That for low TRL technology to be of interest to us, at least, you would need to be disruptive. You would need to. I think Arnaud touched on it earlier on. Probably be cross-cutting, so being deployable in a number of types of products. For us, for example, we're in makeup, skincare, sun care, hair coloration. Could that technology be deployed in different market products? So that's the sort of thing we'll be looking for.
Thanks, Ryan. What about you, Thomas? Arnaud?
I can go next. So when I hear a low TRL, I think high risk, and when I think high risk, I think it should be high reward. So the most early stage, the most disruptive and the most let's say life-changing it should be. So if you have a startup, you are very early on, and in the end you are only targeting a niche market, or it's not going to be interesting for us, but on the side of how to make it work with the corporate, I think it's important. I see from our own portfolio, we have very early stage company. We have companies in the battery space with a 10 years horizon. So it's like very, very long-term innovation. And what is important, I think, is to have as many partnerships you can with corporates. You have to have strategic partnership with many of them. Maybe not all of them will last on the longer run, but the more you have, the best chance you have to succeed and to let's say survive on the longer term.
Thanks, Thomas. Dara, would you like to add anything to this?
No, I agree with Thomas. I mean, it's all about how disruptive the technology is and how widely you're going to touch the consumers. I mean, is it a technology, a value proposition that's going to enable you to jump to the next curve, or is it only incremental? And this is how you're going to convince your key stakeholders to invest or not.
So regarding this, for types of innovation and like disruptive technology that Fabien was talking about, it can lead us to another question that we have in the chat about Bavasco. Like, how do you identify these initiatives in regarding the R&D business units? Are they involved in the beginning trying to identify this disruptive initiatives? Are they like onboarded a little bit later during the scoping of these technologies? How are these units, R&D business units, well onboarded and help you identify these technologies? Dara, maybe we can continue with you on this one.
I mean, I'm part of R&D, so so this is basically the team. I mean, the work of my team. So, and you're right. It's about, at the end of the day, identifying and selecting the right value proposition for your organization, right? And this is what my team does on a regular basis. What the team does also, and what must be unique with the OI team is they should be able to understand the needs of R&D, but also the needs of business partners. And you know, our team is very versatile in terms of profile. We are able to cover a wide scope from sustainability to the techniques of shade matching for lipstick. So how we do things, we have tools obviously internally, but we make sure to scout, assess, and curate the relevant value proposition for our organization.
Thanks, Dara. Fabien, what about you? How do you involve R&D in the process?
But like Dara, I'm embedded in research and innovation. So, but having said that, what we do and what we need to do is, as early as possible, we involve the research teams in the process. Because first of all, they have the expertise often, and they're able to evaluate how relevant the technology is, and when we need to compare it to what we might have developed in the past internally, or what other partners might offer. And also, again, if we don't onboard them at an early stage, again, they're not going to feel part of the process, and then you'll have to convince them that it is the right partner to work with, and that might be more difficult. So again, it makes a lot of sense to try to onboard them as early as possible.
Again, for sure. And what about Thomas and Arnaud? You being a BBC and more on the technical side, Arnaud, how did these two units work together?
I would say that my reaction always is to say that techno push can be an option, but it's somehow dangerous. So we need to start from we don't have we cannot start from anything. So we have to start from something we want to solve, value proposition, and we have to also to have a sort of technology landscape. I would say what are the different technology options, and even if we are comparing, I would say Apple with other foods, but at the end it's also to being able to position different technologies with the right maturity level, and the potential benefits, and also the risk, and to take your I would say to make your decision in terms of investment, in terms of choice, and that's a way not to just have a sort of techno push option, always starting from the value proposition. And after you can manage your risk, because the open innovation and CVC, etc., we are used to. I'm not saying that it's easy, but we are used to manage risk. But if we start from the good understanding and the value proposition, or on the maturity of the technology in the field, I'm not talking on the maturity of the technology of specifically a startup, but really on the field, you can manage the risk and select, I would say, a project or a company and make this investment.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Arnaud. We have 10 minutes to finish this, so maybe we can finish with a quick comment on each one of you. One, maybe a piece of advice to other corporates, and then one for startups. Like, what would be like your best advice for any startup or corporate that will be about to embark in an open innovation project? Can we start with you, Fabien?
Thank you. So I think a piece of advice for startup, as I said, I worked in the startup world in the past. I think the one piece of advice I would give is that please use your network. Go and go to the likes of Hello Tomorrow and try to network with corporates like ourselves. Try to find consultants that might have worked in the sector that you're interested in. Because if you come to us, we won't expect you to fully understand our market, but I think we'd expect you to understand what we do, what we're trying to achieve, and have some feeling of the sort of needs you might be able to answer. Again, consumer. Think about consumer. What are the need gaps that you'll be looking to answer with your technology?
Thanks, Fabien. What about you, Arnaud?
Not easy, but I would say my first advice would be to make proof of concept, and truly to be able to demonstrate something as fast as possible. So I know that's not easy. I work also in a biotech startup 20 years ago, so I know it's easier to say, but any startup will have to demonstrate something, and so that's really a key objective for me. For any discussion with a corporate or with any kind of ecosystem partner, it could be very, very important. I have also a sort of frustration, but it's maybe because I work in the consultancy, always sizing market, etc. So maybe it's less important, but try to size your market properly, I would say, and really to ask yourself about your own value proposition, and really to size your market, not the entire market in the world. And that's a very good exercise to make. And I'm absolutely sure that startup usually, and again, I understand why, but they should really spend time on that. What is my market? What is my business model? What will I sell? Is it enzyme? Is it microbe? Is it a service? Is it what will generate dollar at the end of the equation? Is it dollar per kg? Is it dollar per month? What is my business? And it's what we expect from a startup is not to have all the answers. Honestly, I know that when a startup is really early stage, it's absolutely normal not to be clear on all these elements, but at least be able to have options and to have these kind of elements in mind.
Okay, thank you, Arnaud. What about you, Dara? Or maybe Thomas, I saw you're ready for answering.
Yeah, I can go next. So, piece of advice to the startup wanting to do open innovation with corporates, I would say be patient and be persistent. I often hear corporates are slow. You might see it that way, but the truth is corporates are busy. I see people like working on 3 M&A projects, 6 partnerships, and we have to do this strategic review for next week. And truth is also that open innovation, it's become such a standard that, I mean, there are too many options, too many opportunities. You can't possibly make room to each and every one. So it's true that sometimes things can take time, but all the success stories I've heard, it took some time. So you have to be persistent and you have to be patient.
Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, for sure. Patience is a virtue. Sometimes this project it's hard also for it's good that you're saying it coming from where you are, because sometimes we see that it's the corporate that tries to speed up things, like in order like to have like big processes, and then the startups that are at a faster pace, they need to have like early wins. And working with corporate, sometimes it's hard like to work at the same speed. So having this as a patience, I think it's a good advice. What about you, Dara?
So my only piece of advice would be to know your audience. So at least with Coty is a public company, so our strategy is widely shared everywhere. So I would advise you to get to know it. make sure that you understand it before pitching in front of us. This would be, because I see too many startups, pitching in front of our key stakeholders, not knowing exactly what our needs are, or looking at it in a superficial way. So really, this is what I would highly recommend.
Thank you, Dara. Since we have just a couple of minutes more, we can take a last question that from Gregory. It's about what do you do with about partnering with soft innovation? So maybe that it's not core to your business, but based on other types of services. So generating value on functional services or resource services, circular economy. What about that? Are you interested also in do this kind of partnership, and how do you tackle them?
I didn't hear the end of the question. Sorry, can you say it again, please?
How do you also partner with innovation that it's not core to your business? So, for instance, generating value on functional services, resource services, or circular economies. Do you also embark on innovation projects like this?
I can answer partly for Coty. So we do, but this is not centralized as for R&D, technology, and product or ingredients. So here you would need here to reach out to each function. I mean, if you want to propose, a new service for marketing, social media, or digital, you will need to go and pitch in front of each function.
Thanks,
same for us. You go to
I agree also. I agree. So depending on what you have to offer, sometimes open innovation is not maybe the best door, maybe just purchasing department. Like differentiation is key, right? If you bring differentiation to the corporate, then maybe we're open innovation or VC, that could be a good entry door. If you are just asking for one more customer among 1,000 others, maybe the procurement or something like that maybe would be best suited for what you have to offer.
Thank you, Thomas. And sorry, Fabien.
Same for us. Sorry, there's not much to add, but I think same for us.
Sounds good. Okay, so we reached the end of this session. I just want to thank you very much, Dara, Thomas, Fabien, Arnaud, to be present for this session. As we mentioned at the beginning, is the kickoff of our innovation engine for biotech biotechnology. We are still in the initial part. So if you want to join this program, just don't hesitate to reach to us. And remember that the big event for this industrial biotechnology cohort is going to be November 22nd and 23rd. Please stay posted, and you'll have more information on that soon. Thank you again, and see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Bye.